Hi designers! Thank you so much for joining me today at Makers Row live event. I'm Anna Livermore and I am owner of V.Mora. We are a company that help launch fashion designers, patterns, samples, production, branding, photo shoots. I do one-on-one business coaching. Just anything that you need from start to finish to be launching your production. And I've partnered with Makers Row. So many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with Makers Row. Obviously, you're on their live, but they have a platform where they connect you with vendors and companies like mine. It's a really, really great platform. And I have a promo code to promote, Anna IG Live. So if you don't have a monthly subscription to Makers Row, you can get 50% off by using Anna IG Live. Let me just put that in the notes so that you guys have it, which is amazing. So if you're not a member of Makers Row, you 100% should be. It's incredible. Did I do it right? Anna IG Live. Post. They asked me to pin that. I don't know how. Oh, pin. There we go. I did it. So you can use that promo code for 50% off your monthly, which is a great opportunity. They are then launching Embark Live, which is going to be a panel of experts to be able to connect you to video content and different ways that you can work with them. Lots of great resources for you. That Embark Live online community that connects entrepreneurs and small businesses with experts will be launching May 4th. So yes, I'm Anna Livermore, owner of V.Mora. You can contact me at makersrow.com/V-Mora if you need, if you have any questions or want to talk more about what we're talking about today, which is innovation and how to be an entrepreneur in today's market. So yes, there is a lot going on in today's market, and a lot of you guys have questions of how do I survive? How am I going to be an entrepreneur? How am I going to launch this collection, whether it's your first season, your second season, or your third season? So what we're doing is just banding all of you guys together and talking about what's happening and talking about how you can move forward and different ideas and things for you to be implementing in your business today. So I will try and keep track of questions. I have lots of waves. Hi all of you. So cute. How can Makers Row onboard us to success? Streamlined knowledge you can package for us on how to find a manufacturer. Yes, that's exactly what Makers Row does, is it gives you a bunch of factories that you can then reach out to via their Makers Row site. So if you haven't been a part of their community, you definitely need to. So yes, hi, I'm gonna pay attention to your comments as I am reading through today's live event, and then at the end we'll have time for Q&A as well. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is acknowledging that yes, this is a challenging time for business owners. Let's just say it. We all are in this together. It's a challenging time, but we need to figure out ways to be leaders, to talk to our audience. And you need to decide what you want your message to be. We have larger audiences. We have people seeing, like, are you launching? How are you launching? What is your message? How are you speaking to the community? I want you to watch other entrepreneurs and other businesses and what their messages are, and figure out what your message is going to be in today's market. Strategically structuring your business plan. So there's a lot of funding for small businesses right now. We've got the SBA. If you guys aren't aware of, Sarah Blakely has put together, it's called the Red Backpack Fund for female entrepreneurs. There's so many ways that as small businesses we can be applying for help. There's the Paycheck Protection Plan. That can be, if you talk to your banker, the banks are offering it to their clients. So figuring out what, if anything, are you going to be applying for funding, for loans? Do you need them? What does it look like? What's the best option for you? Because we do have a lot of opportunities to, be getting help, asking for help, not being too proud of help. So figuring out what that's going to look like for you, if you just doing some research, do some research, figure out if any of those programs are going to be right for you. And you'll want to do some planning and some budgeting now more than ever, and be realistic with your money. Sit down with how much you're willing to invest. And you should do this, regardless of COVID, but obviously it's more important now than ever to realistically look at your money. I know with V.Mora, what I've done is, if I didn't make another dime as of today, what is my run out rate? When will I run out of money? And then I've created kind of a game of, every time that, we make a sale or something happens, like I add that into my budget, and focusing in on the return on your ROI is better for your headspace than if you only focus in on your expenses. Yes, there's going to be a lot of expenses, but if you can focus in on, if you are able to do a small production, what's the return on that? If you are making masks right now, what's the return on that? Making sure now more than ever, every penny that you spend counts. Every penny that you spend is towards that return, because, it's really important. We want to all be making a return off of what we're spending our expenses on. So sit down, plan your budget. That's something that I help my clients with all the time. But if you need to pull in somebody that can help you with those numbers, that can help you to know where you should be spending money, you can always pull in an expert to help you on that, or maybe it's a friend or family member, someone that can help you. But being very realistic. As creatives and designers, we tend to push that away. We want to do the fun stuff. We want to do the designs. We want to do the selling. We want to get our name out there, do the photo shoots. But this is so important to do your budget, to look at it clearly, to be responsible, because that will make or break you. If you're able to put together a budget and say, okay, for the next 6 months, this is how much money I have to spend, and this is where I'm spending it. It then creates less fear when you have to go to spend that money. You can say, yes, I've budgeted $500 for fabric for my samples for next season. So when you spend that $500, you don't have to feel the guilt or wonder if that was the right way to spend your money. If you create this plan, it's so essential. So planning and preparation. We want to manage your sampling and your production. With the lockdowns, this looks different. We've got to think outside the box. Whether that's, like I said before, if you guys were in my 3 o'clock last Monday, dry cleaners are essential businesses. So a lot of sewers are very, very talented, and you can be asking them if they can help with your samples. Sewers are at home. I myself have talked to a lot of at-home sewers that have been laid off from their jobs, or looking for extra work, or they're not working in the factories, that really want this business, that will benefit from having an extra $100 for sewing a sample, or that are willing to take on production of, maybe it's 30 units, a smaller production, something that they normally wouldn't take on. But figuring out what is your pattern in your production and your sample making process going to look like, and thinking outside of the box. Pulling in talented people from everywhere. People are working together, so it might not look the same because we have these added obstacles in, but there is a solution. We have plenty of designers that are getting their patterns done, getting their samples done, and getting their production done. And as I've said before, you getting this roadblock where all of a sudden you can't use your first choice of your factory isn't new. It's not something that you're not going to have to deal with in the future, whether the factory may be too busy, whether you grow out of the factory. Finding different resources for your patterns and samples is not a new task, and it's not something that you'll never have to deal with again. So looking at these challenges as things that are going to help you grow as a business owner in the future. And, getting through this will make you stronger. You might want to think about doing a smaller production. Maybe you only want to do for your spring collection, you want to have a local seamstress who is looking for work. Maybe they've been laid off. So 10 garments of each style you plan to do 100 of each style of. And then you'll have 100 garments instead of 1,000 garments, and do a little capsule collection. Or maybe you want to look and do something offshore. Work with a factory that's maybe taking lower minimums because, again, they're looking for work. So thinking outside of the box and just deciding that you're going to find the resources that you need. Talk to enough people. Talk to the community boards. Use Makers Row. Continue to call people. See who's working. I'm reading your comments as they come. So figuring out sample making, production, and what that's going to look like. If it is different than what you were planning, that's okay. Figure out a plan. Make connections with your community. Obviously, you guys are all doing that because you're here. But there's so many Zoom groups, joining communities, finding other moms that are working from home, finding other people on Instagram and Facebook but that maybe you wouldn't reach out to normally, but you've read their stories, you resonate with what they're saying, and you set up a time to talk to them, to do a Zoom, to do a FaceTime. But connection is so important, especially since we're all shelter in place, working from home. I know myself, I feel so much better. And I'm going to give you a list of action steps that you can do at the end of this, but I've put together a list of people that I want to talk to, people that I want to reach out to, and then just calling them and talking to them for if I hadn't seen them in the last month. Obviously, I haven't seen anyone, but being able to see their faces on FaceTime and talk and feel connected makes a difference in me. It makes a difference in how I can show up for other people. So being careful not to isolate is really important. It makes a huge difference. All right. Using innovation to redefine your sales plan. Stay creative and think outside the box. So again, we want to avoid two things the best we can. Number one is feeling sorry for yourself. It's hard, right? Because you were going to launch on a certain date, you had it planned, you had done all the work, you're so close, and then this happens, and it's out of our control. So feeling sorry for yourself is a mindset that you get to choose. And sometimes, I don't know, this works for me, maybe it won't work for you. But trying to push these feelings away of, I'm not going to think about it, I'm not going to feel it, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself, doesn't necessarily help either. So we want to A, avoid feeling sorry for ourselves, and B, acknowledge our feelings. This feels hard because it's hard. And sometimes I can't even believe I'm admitting it, but I'll just throw myself a pity party. You know what? Today is not my day. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get some chocolate and I'm going to sit and watch reality TV show and feel sorry for myself and throw this pity party. And once I surrender to that and I go ahead and I eat that ice cream and I watch that reality TV show, it might last an hour, 2 hours at the most. And then I think, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to get up and do my life. But pretending it isn't there doesn't help. So we want to get past this negativity and do whatever it takes so that we can show up for our company, show up for our business, show up for our audience. But yeah, just when those feelings come up, say, you know what, this is hard. This feels hard because it's hard. It's not something that any of us are accustomed to dealing with. And we're doing the best we can to move through it and figure out a solution. So that's the important part. So figuring out your sales strategy. Again, as business owners, we're always going to have obstacles. This is not going to be the only obstacle you deal with, nor do I think it's probably the only obstacle you've ever dealt with. If you have, you're really lucky, but I doubt that anyone hasn't ever had an obstacle in their life that they've had to overcome. So just knowing that this isn't going to be the last obstacle, it might be the biggest. And I said in my last call on Monday, if we can get through COVID, anything from here is going to seem easy. You'll be like, oh, we got through 2020, like we can do this. So using this to make us stronger, to help you to grow, whatever that looks like. Look at other success stories of other companies. So many of them have come from trials and tribulations, or they've come out of 2008, or they've come out of some backstory. I know Sarah Blakely specifically, her roommate had passed, and that gave her the opportunity she's the one that, if you guys don't know, she has Spanx. She used that spare bedroom in order to start her company. So making this part of your story and figuring out what your sales strategy is going to be. Again, smaller production, larger production, what your message is, who your audience is, what you're saying, figuring all of that out. Creating opportunities and digitally or virtually. So how can you reach out? What can you create? People are devouring content right now, so what can you put out there? Find what inspires you, keep it authentic, and speak your voice, because somebody will appreciate hearing what you have to say, and somebody is waiting for you to launch, and they're watching your story, maybe trying to get inspired to launch their own clothing line or speak their own voice. So by doing this, you're giving not only yourself permission, but the people that are watching you permission to have their own voice as well. I also want to point out here to just be mindful of what you are consuming. There is so much content out there, so you can find really great content that makes you feel good, and then content that doesn't make you feel so good. So being mindful of what you're reading, what you're spending your time on, and just saying, in the moment, like, this is what I'm choosing to read right now. Is it helping me? Yes, we need to stay informed, but there's also a limit of how much we need to stay informed. A lot of the news events, or a lot of the things that they're saying in the news, are repeating themselves, so maybe you don't need to hear it 3, 4, 5 times over. So being mindful of what you are consuming. And I wanted to take a minute to talk about my inspiration, what helps me own V.Mora, start V.Mora. I've been in business for 12 years now, and I was fortunate enough. My grandmother, she got polio when she was 26 years old, and she was paralyzed from the neck down. And she had 3 daughters, all of which were under the age of 5. And I was born, and she lived with us, and she could move the fingers on her left hand. So she would lay in bed, and she had a phone, and she would move the fingers on her left hand, and she had a headset. And this is in when I was 12, so this is in like the 90s, the mid 90s. And she decided that she was going to open up a bakery. Couldn't walk, never left a room, had been paralyzed from the neck down for over 40 years, and she decided that she was going to start this bakery, and she didn't let any of this stuff stop her. And watching her be able to have this company, she was our boss. I worked there. I was a cake decorator, and we were all scared to death of her. She was, she just said it like it was all the time. We all lived in fear of her. I don't know what we actually thought she was going to do, but being able to see her overcome these trials and tribulations, these obstacles, and decide this isn't going to stop me. I'm going to figure it out, and we're going to make it work. And it's not unlike, any other obstacle that we're going through. And she would always say to me, I would come home from high school and have gotten in a fight with a friend, or broken up with my boyfriend, and she'd look at me dead in the eyes and she'd say, I haven't walked in 40 years. And it just kind of said it of like, yeah, you're right, you win. And I know she passed away when I was 19, but I know in today, with everyone being like, shelter in place, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything, I know her response would be like, I haven't walked in 40 years. And she never left her room. She did everything from her bed. So we don't have any excuses as to why we can't figure something out and make this work. So that's a little story about my grandmother, because I was just trying to figure out what I could share with you guys that helps me get through and helps me push through these obstacles. Another book that I'm reading that's called The Obstacle is the Way has been really helpful. Again, talks a lot about how as business owners, actually going to the obstacle, figuring out ways around it, makes us stronger, makes us better business owners, and is unavoidable. So that's a really great book. I'm listening to it on my Audible. So that's something you can spend your time doing. But I'm going to give you guys some steps today that I want you guys to go and implement in your business this week. The first step is, and it sounds a little counterintuitive, but I want you to pick one thing that you can do for yourself. I'm a firm believer that in order to show up for my business, I have to take care of myself. If I'm overworked or overwhelmed or haven't slept or stressed out, I can't make the decisions in my business that I need to, because I haven't taken care of myself and gotten my mindset straight to be able to do that. And I know a lot of you are moms and you've got kids at home, and that's going to be difficult for you to find something, but it can be anything. You can put a face mask on. You can even sit quietly without any distractions on your phone or on TV for 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the morning when you drink your coffee, deciding to turn your phone off at 10 o'clock so that you're able to sleep better. Whatever that is, I want you to pick one thing this week that you can do for yourself. Number 2 is put together that list of people that you want to reach out to, and reach out to one person a day. We don't want to isolate. We don't want to, feel disconnected. So pick those people that are inspiring to you, that even, maybe they just make you laugh. They make you laugh, they bring a smile to your face, but picking one person to reach out to every day, and then maybe even going to someone you've never met, someone on Instagram that you really connected with, that they said something that inspired you, connecting with them. So number 2, reach out to one person a day. Sounds silly, like how many people did we normally see before this? But yes, one person a day that you want to reach out to. Number 3 is to join an online event or a hangout or a Zoom or a community. You guys are here, so you've already done number 3. That's amazing. But maybe, finding just things to stay connected and ways to communicate to people that are going through this, that you guys can all help each other through. And number 4, this one's the least fun, but make a schedule. We're all at home. Everything's been out of whack. But making a schedule, for my clients that are making a schedule and trying to stick to that schedule, it's making a huge difference in the amount of work that they get done within the week. You can split your time up through money. So that can be your budget, your loan, working with QuickBooks, your banking, your taxes. Number 2 should be your virtual presence. So when are you going to work on your Instagram, your Facebook? Maybe it's 20 minutes every day at 8 o'clock in the morning from 8:30, whatever that looks like. Content creation. So your blogs, you can be spending this time to have the next 5 million Instagram posts that you're going to post be scheduled. So your content, your photos, your messaging, your branding, and then creation. So doing whatever that is to be creative. Think of your next season that you want to design, maybe a capsule collection, or anything that helps you stay and feel inspired. F, I have production, so working on the nuts and bolts of your patterns and your samples, and then another one would be sales. So I'll repeat those again, but basically if you cut out your schedule based around money, virtual presence, content, creation, production, and sales, you'll cover it all. But I also want you to schedule your downtime. I really, really try and get my clients not to work on Sundays. I try not to work on Sundays, but having downtime. This is when I stop work. This is when I cook dinner. This is when I start work. Just creating this schedule So again, I'll go through these 4 steps for you. Literally, if you guys just take these 4 steps, you will move forward in business. That's it. These 4 steps. 1, do something every day to take care of yourself. 2, reach out to someone while we're all in this shelter in place every day. 3, join an event or a hangout of other people that help inspire you. And 4, make a schedule. So those are my steps that I wanted you guys to walk away with. Again, I'm Anna Livermore, V.Mora. You can reach me makersrow.com/V-Mora, and you'll be able to watch this for the next 24 hours. But I wanted to take some time for some questions. I said I was gonna pay attention to your questions, and then I just haven't. So I can scroll through, or if you guys want to, what's your take on doing a limited edition luxury line of clothing to a select market? What's my take? I think you figure out what you want to launch, who your customer is, and speak to them, whatever that is, whether it's a luxury line to whatever it is. It can be dog clothes, but figuring out what you want to sell, who your customer is, writing together your launch plan, you can launch whatever you want. So yes, my answer would be yes. Okay, more questions. Thank you. You can reach out to them through info@makersrow.com. Maybe you're answering a question from someone else that they sent a few emails about working with people. Yeah, so I think that Makers Row does have, I keep showing my nails. I tried to paint my nails myself. Horrible. Anyways, yes, you can reach out to Makers Row about different options for funding. I was planning to launch my line this year. Fabric was coming from China and manufactured in LA. I'm unsure about working with China now. Do you feel it's better to start with made in the USA, or is overseas risky right now? Right. Have plan A, have plan B, have plan C. Do I think it's risky with working with people overseas? No. Everything that we have, shipments have come, things have been okay. So I don't think, making it made in the USA is always a great option. Makers Row has so many places for manufacturing domestically. I always think made in the USA is a good option, but I wouldn't completely rule out any option right now. Whatever works, I would do that. Did anyone catch the 5 business things? Money, virtual. Okay, so I'll say those again. Money, virtual presence, content, creation, production, and sales. So it's actually 6 things. But if you create your schedule based around those, you'll be covering everything. Yes, so there we go. Oh, and you guys are great. You're answering the questions for each other. So amazing. Repeat the list. Yep, sorry about that. Okay. Is this even the right moment to register for a company? I've already started, but I'm still not sure where I'm going. If you're waiting for the right moment to launch a company, you can always find excuses why right now is not the right moment. But we have plenty of designers that this is their first season. They're starting their company. A lot of companies, like I said, that book, The Obstacle Is a Way, gives a huge list of companies that started in a time of turbulence, in a time of a recession. A lot of great creations come out of that. So I wouldn't say that now is that you shouldn't be moving forward. Have a hard time thinking that people are actually buying clothing during this crisis as everyone is taking the hit financially. How do you move past that? I talked to so many designers and other people in the industry about people launching. Are they selling? Are they buying? I know that I've bought a few things in the past few weeks, and people are still shopping. There was a designer who launched her collection on April 2nd. On April 5th was talking about the styles that had sold out. So there are people still buying. There are people still launching successfully. There are people selling. So look for those stories, talk to those designers, keep your headspace there instead of all the what ifs. And if you launch and you don't sell out of everything right now, you have a larger window to sell, because when the lockdown is lifted and when this is over, there will be a second round of people then feeling okay to shop. So it's not like it's an end all be all. You have to launch and sell out right now. Staying creative, selling, talking to your customer. Maybe you've got some back stock from seasons prior that you want to sell now. Figuring out a plan. This is figure outable, and what is that going to look like, and how are you going to make sales? Do you offer mentorship programs? Sorry, this is a random question. Yes. So I do one-on-one coaching with designers, and I did some life coaching training because I had a coach when I started my company. So now I work with designers in that format, while also giving you the steps of production and making sure you have a budget. So yes, we've got some mentorship programs. How can I find a cut and sew company? I couldn't find the company with a reasonable price online. You just have to keep building the lists, keep reaching out to people. Like I said, Makers Row has hundreds, I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure it's hundreds of factories. Continue to call them and reach out to them. Talk to also an expert, someone that can help you say, are these goals realistic? Maybe you're wanting to sell something at a price that isn't reasonable, and you'll either need to change your fabric, change your plan, change how the garment is sewn, or your minimums. So figure out if what you're looking for is reasonable as well. Would it be better to purchase wholesale fabric than working with a textile mill? Textile mills, the mills and the converters tend to have larger minimums, whereas a fabric sales rep will have lower minimums. But again, you just don't want to be buying your fabric from retail stores for a wholesale product. That's what I always say. But you can figure out, as long as you're getting that wholesale price, it's fine. And you can meet the minimums that are required. I think you guys are talking with each other, which is amazing. How can I get in contact with you about the mentorship program? I would like to do it. I'm going to put in the pin how you can contact me, makersrow.com / sorry, this is less than ideal of me typing in my phone here, but post, and I'm going to pin it. There you go. That's how you can get in contact with me. Oh, and somebody else. You guys are great. Such a community, answering questions for each other. So we've gone for 30 minutes. Does anyone else, like I said, the comments were going so quickly. Let's see, there's 2 questions here. Can you label the pinned comment Makers Row promo for late viewers? Yes. So I did pin that. The promo is Anna IG Live. But I might have, okay. And then, what's a realistic budget to start a brand prior to launch? This is my favorite question. I get asked this question all the time, you guys. It's really, really impossible for me to answer for you. But you can start with a small budget. You just have to be really, really mindful how you spend that money, because you've got to cover pattern samples and production at the bare minimum, and a website. It's going to be a slower process, but I've seen it done. And you can start with a really, really large budget. So, yeah. I get this question all the time. I don't have the right answer. It depends on so many things. How many styles are you doing? Are you making leather garments? Or are you making cotton t-shirts? So if you'd like to sit down and we can talk about that in more detail, but it does take money to start a company. So you'll have to have something set aside, and then just be really mindful and create that budget start to finish so that you don't run out of money. Okay. Can you repeat the name of the book, please? It is called The Obstacle is the Way. And one of my clients had suggested it to me. I don't know the author offhand, but I'm sure if you Google it, The Obstacle is the Way. All right. So does anyone have any other questions? Do you have a good connections for fabric sourcing? Yes, we do, but Makers Row, they have fabric vendors online, but we can always help find fabric sourcing that you're looking for. The audiobook, so I said that again. Okay, any more questions? I see some laughy faces. Not a question. What's a realistic time frame from the beginning until sales? So this is a great question. If you're doing this all on your own and you are learning it as you go and you're putting together the resources, you want to plan at least a year, because you've got to have your samples and your production ready prior to selling. You'll want to have, first you'll do your production. That could take 3 months. Then before that, you do your samples and your photo shoots. You've got your website. You've got to put together your sales plan. So you want to plan at least a year. When I'm working specifically with clients, we streamline this process, obviously, because we already have the resources and the connections. So even then, we say 9 months to develop, source the fabrics. What fashion newsletters do you follow? I love, let's see. I don't know if I follow specifically. I love Marie Forleo. I love Sarah Blakely. They're not specific to fashion. But yeah, there's a lot of content out there. I just like to listen to the message. Is it expensive to have your fabrics designed? It's cost more than getting fabric that's already available. You'll have to have the designs made by a graphic designer. If you can do that on your own, then you have to have the fabric printed, and there's usually a minimum. So yes, it's more expensive to do that, but it's still doable. What is the link to the Makers Row fabric vendors? It's just makersrow.com, and then you can look and see all of the vendors that they have there. Fashion of Business is a good one to follow. Yeah, I've heard of that. We follow that as well. Thank you for that. Okay, I've gone way over. So I hope you guys feel inspired from today. I hope you get out and are able to implement some of the things that I taught you today. I'm talking again. Makers Row is having these all the time. I think they've got another one today at 6, but stay connected with them. It's a great, great community. Again, you can find us on the Makers Row website and then Embark Live. They're taking a wait list, I believe. So signing up for that will start May 4th. They're launching. So thank you so much, you guys. And I'll see you next Monday at 3 o'clock, where we talk about social media. So this is amazing. Thank you so much.